25 minutes left till 10, so we're going to go ahead and start the second presentation here. Testing. We're going to start the second presentation now. All right. Our second presentation today, we have BlueRecruit. We have Rich Camacho, Matt Smith, and Gina Camacho, all here from BlueRecruit, and I'm going to hand over the microphone now, let them tell you about it.
Good morning, everybody. Rich, Matt, and Gina, we're BlueRecruit. To kind of kick things off, can I tell you where BlueRecruit all got started? My father-in-law, Joe, called me up one day and let me know that he was currently hiring for his auto body shop. He was looking for an auto painter. And so he did what I think any business owner in here has done, any hiring manager has done, went on to the typical social platforms, the typical recruiting platforms online, created some job posts, and within about a week, he'd received 80 resumes for house painters. Clearly, a house painter and an auto body painter are not the same things. He was telling me from my kind of take on it, knowing that I was from the HR talent acquisition side, and I said, you know what, there's got to be a much better way to go about doing this than the current system. So that's why BlueRecruit was born. So to kind of introduce ourselves, I'm Rich Camacho, the co-founder and CEO of the company, coming from the military and been in talent acquisition for about the last 4 or 5 years.
Matt Smith, career in SaaS sales.
And I'm Gina Camacho, co-founder of BlueRecruit, and I've been in product support and customer success for about 10 years.
And most importantly, the daughter of Joe, who kind of gave birth to all of us. So our biggest ask from y'all today are 3 different things. One, in order to have BlueRecruit really kick off and be successful, as you'll see, the most important thing to be happening right now is the building of a very robust candidate marketplace. Secondly, we have just recently adjusted our pricing model, and we'd love for everyone to take a look at that, let us know their insight as business owners, what you all think about the pricing model. And then lastly, of course, you know, it all comes down to the almighty dollar, and we're always interested in speaking to potential investors. I'm sorry. So a little bit of background as to what's currently going on in the recruiting talent acquisition space. There is no doubt right now when we look at the macro economy, 3.5% unemployment, there's more jobs out there than there are people to even fill it. Obviously, finding the right talent for the roles that everyone is looking for is very, very difficult. The blue-collar industry, the skilled trades, the trades are no different than any other kind of workforce, any other kind of job. And we look at the enormous costs that go into talent acquisition. Right now, across the country, the average fee to bring someone on board in a blue-collar type opportunity is over $4,100. Let's take a look at an HR generalist, for example. About 31% of a company's HR generalist's time is spent in the recruiting space, whether that be writing job posts, reviewing resumes. So that comes down to over $21,000 of every single one of your HR generalist's salaries is going strictly to recruiting, a huge cost. And it's taking a huge amount of time to fill those roles. Right now, to fill an open manufacturing slot is taking over a month, and those are just work days. However, we kind of look at the greater marketplace and say, you know what, there's a potential to adjust this. Who here has not ordered food online in some kind of capacity? All right, one guy. Clearly, 2. Clearly it's working. You know, all of us want that burrito at 2 a.m. and we need to have that burrito at 2 a.m. and we can pull out our phone and have it magically delivered and it's piping hot and some guy we don't know just showed up at our door and gave it to us. Awesome. And guess what? It's happening in grocery deliveries. It's happening, hey, I need my backyard mowed, I'm going to use Tackle. And again, not that I know, but apparently it's also happening in online dating. And what's terrifying when you think about it, of people using online dating, they're spending almost an entire day of their lives every month on each one of these platforms. Like, how are we the #1 country in the world when that's happening? It's beyond me. However, we take a look at the recruiting space and talent acquisition, And we're still using this old, outdated model of creating job posts, waiting on people to send us resumes. Clearly, the market has accepted these faster, more convenient methods, yet HR has failed to follow.
So, what we have built with BlueRecruit is a system that is going to simplify and make the process of the company finding a job seeker very, very simple and efficient. So our job seekers will be able to access and create a profile from their phones, and through as much as possible, we're going to eliminate free text fields. So they're going to select their industry, their certifications, what their salary ranges, and location. And then companies will be able to create a search where they will be able to search with those same fields that the candidate used to create a profile to find exactly what they need. So if they need someone with a certain certification within this many miles of their location, they'll be able to find them quickly, instantly. Once the company determines who's a good match for them, they'll be able to connect. And once the job seeker accepts that connection, that's when a payment transaction would occur. The company can then reach out, get the contact information for that job seeker, and continue on with their hiring process.
So we look at kind of the cost breakdown of how we're going to make money for this company. So we're looking at a kind of a monthly service. So obviously in the SaaS world, you want annual recurring revenue. So 5 monthly connections, $475. 10 monthly connections, 20, and then once we start to build our program out a little bit further, work with larger organizations, those mining keys or larger construction firms, to work with them one-on-one for an enterprise level hiring post. Now on the flip side as well, we are advocating for the small business owner that may not necessarily be hiring 5 connections a month. So we also have sort of what we refer to as kind of like a small business plan where we'd only charge maybe a single payment for $200 there.
So our initial plan, we have already started allocating candidates throughout the Southeast with a real focus on Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, and Nashville as our initial proof of concept and launch locations, largely due to the incredible economic boom that's going on in those 4 cities. Obviously, the large populations make it easier to build out that robust candidate profile, and the Southeast as a whole is really seeing a gigantic explosion in this kind of work environment. So where we are, or where we've been, where we're going. We actually were founded this, recently here in the fall of 2019. Our prototype was fully developed and completed in December. If anyone would like to take a look at it, we're loving to take kind of feedback and how we should adjust as we continue to build out our website. We're currently going through due diligence with an investment firm. Our MVP is scheduled to be complete in May, and we want to be fully operational and, most importantly, revenue generating come August. We're really happy. Found out last week we're invited to CED's Venture Connect, so we're looking forward to really getting the word out there come March. Someone is due in March, so really looking at those dates closely. So once again, our ask, obviously, money is important. Got to build that marketplace, and then any feedback on the pricing model that we've developed.
Questions? Yeah, in the back.
So I can definitely appreciate this product. I came as an automotive technician and worked in that field for like 5 years, and then also in staff aug for IT, so kind of both sides of the world here. How do you plan on getting this in front of those people that, the talent pool, the BlueRecruit person using this application? I can definitely see the ease of getting in front of the corporate side and saying, hey, here's the value add. How are you finding your talent pool? Is it SEO? What are you using to track?
That question right there, and sorry I didn't catch your name, is by far our number 1 concern and our number 1 kind of mission during this time, obviously building the product itself. But the last thing we want to do is put this product out there, Small business owner goes onto it, says, hey, this looks awesome, let me check it out, this is what I need. Oh, there's 2 people in their database, I'm never coming to BlueRecruit again. That's worst possible situation. So building out that marketplace is the most important thing. Anyone that knows anyone in the industry, anyone that sees the importance of that, please tell your friends about it. But what we're doing right now is we're trying to, obviously small business, we're in that startup phase, trying to do marketing as inexpensively as possible. So we are going through SEO. We've created what we're referring to as the knowledge center within our website, putting out articles from both experts and ourselves. You know, we're also experts in our individual fields to try and increase that SEO, and then you know, environments like this, putting our word out there through inexpensive means to build that marketplace. And right now we have hundreds of candidates in each one of our specific cities, as you know, obviously in an early phase.
So I guess one of you, from a supply standpoint, have you talked to the community colleges? I mean, there's a huge, well, you have, okay, that's the obvious one,
Yeah.
the Durham Tech, Wake Tech, the
Yeah. Johnson
Community College.
Yeah, we've had a meeting with Wake Tech.
Yeah, Forsyth, I mean, yeah, you know, Eastern, and that's the other question too, is like in the eastern part of the state, like Greenville or something like that, where there's a large industrial base. I've lived out there before, a lot of manufacturing. Have you gone out there and looked at that opportunity?
Yeah, we've one thing we found interesting is, you know, when we first created our business plan was, all right, we're going to start off with these 4 cities, and we very quickly started to see, hey, yeah, Charlotte's got some really good manufacturing, but we are getting hit up High Point, Greenville, and so we see it not so much as, hey, this is the city we're looking at, like Legend. That makes perfect sense, focus on the location. That's why one thing we've added to our product is distance from the location, because we understand that, hey, your manufacturing site might be in High Point, but you live 30 minutes outside of Charlotte. Might still be a fit.
So one of the benefits of being part of this community is being part of this community. You may or may not know that a few months ago, Robin Grable presented here, has been doing the 1 Million Cup circuit. She's with a company called Veterans Ascent, and I've had a lot of opportunity to talk to her about inventory, which, sorry, that's how we refer to the people in the pipeline moving that match. She's actually doing an incredibly similar model in her, I don't know, have you talked to her at all?
I have not spoken with her. One huge difference between our platform, you know, as a veteran, I want to support the veteran community. Candidates are able to identify as veterans, and then companies can then say, hey, I would prefer to hire a veteran, and that assists in the algorithm. But what we did not want to do was limit the pool just to transitioning veterans, and also recognize the fact that, hey, you might have been a veteran that served in the first Gulf War, but you've created fantastic experiences in that time. Why should we close those folks off as well?
Sure. I want to encourage you to think a little bit sideways, which is the whole role of entrepreneurship, and have a conversation with her. I'd be happy to connect you with her. In fact, I told her that somebody interesting was presenting this week, because she actually has software. She's far beyond the prototype stage. And there may be an opportunity to partner, to license, to do any number of different things that could get you further faster. And it might be worth an exploration to find out what's possible. And at the end of the day, you might find out that there's no partnership there. But if you're interested in that connection, I'd be happy to make it.
Hi, I have a question. Very interesting platform and all that stuff. Most of companies these days, you know what I'm saying, it's about saving money, you know what I'm saying? It's about saving money and they don't have HR and all that stuff. They might have one HR, but I didn't hear you say you guys, most of, like the lady she's talking about, she gives benefits like, okay, if she has you temporary, whatever, you know what I'm saying, but she has that. But you guys, I didn't hear you talking about all that, you know, what's the benefit for you guys, because you got to show to these, some of these companies, small, because I'm a small business, I want to save money. You got to show me, you bring me this person, and how much are you saving me and all that stuff. I didn't see it right over here and all that stuff scaling up, and you know what I'm saying. And there are softwares right there for HR these days, which can help you to identify all these things and all that stuff. That's what also people doing the same thing are doing. There's some software which they use to identify all.
Yeah, so just to clarify, we are not a staffing firm at all. So these will be permanent let's say you're a small company, you connect with an employee, you really love that person, you bring them on, they are now your employee. So we are not 1099 anybody.
No, I'm not saying even 1099. I'm not sure I understand that. Some of the recruiters don't do 1099. They do all that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is about me saving money.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so if you look at the national average right now, I think it was a little bit over $4,100 for each hire. With our 5 connection model at $475, you're now going to be able to connect, really quick math in my head, 60 connections a year at relatively the exact same price that it would have cost you to bring on that one hire.
And you guys, you didn't, I mean, maybe I missed it, but the fee which I'm paying as a small business, how much percent am I paying? I'm just curious.
So if you want 5 connections per month, you're going to be paying $475. If you're a very small business and you say, hey, I might only hire 1 person every year, we can offer you our small business model, which is $200 for 2 connections.
So what makes you different from, like if I go to ILIC, right now I'm looking for somebody, everything pops up right there.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us why you think you can be different from that?
You nailed it right there. Everything pops up, right? You are just inundated with these resumes. Joe, my father-in-law, got 80 resumes for house painters. He needed an auto body painter. These organizations are doing keyword searches. They're running algorithms. But as Gina was mentioning, with that lack of free text and all selecting fields, that data is so much cleaner, and you're going to get exactly the individuals that you're looking for. So when you do a search, let's say you're looking for a heavy construction mechanic in Durham. If you use Indeed, you might get a diesel mechanic in Charleston. You might get an avionics technician. You know, who knows what you're going to end up getting because it's running keywords. With our system, you might only get 5 candidates, but they're going to be exactly the qualifications and exactly the skill sets you're looking for. So it's that shortening of time, which is also going to be a huge, obvious money saver for you.
I don't know where to start, but I love uniforms. I love the uniforms. So we're going to have a sidebar because I got about a list of about 12 things. But the one thing I wanted to bring out, I ran blue-collar workforces for a long time in the moving business. And getting labor at, you needed 40 people tomorrow because you got this last-minute project. It was like impossible to scramble for, So first and foremost, have you considered full and part-time, or some industries are just like that, where you have professional journeymen who make a full-time job out of part-time roles amongst 3 or 4 different companies. Secondly, the people who have the biggest vested interest in that person working is not even that person working. Blue-collar people generally are administrative nightmares. They don't think of themselves as marketing. They don't keep schedules. They know to show up at 8 and leave at 5. That's it. But their wife, if they've got one, their landlord, or their banker, who has their mortgage, have 3 major vested interested parties in making sure that that person gets to work every day and gets that paycheck every week, or else everything else falls apart. Most people live paycheck to paycheck and can't even come up with 3 or 4 grand, right? That's most of this community you're serving. So how do you market to those vested interests to make sure that these people are on your application? In my mind, that would be the absolute holy grail of, because they need you to make sure everybody stays working. So to me, that would be a great way to develop this business, and it's something certainly I'd love to talk about with you further.
I think that is a great point. My mother is actually the one that made that point to us a couple months ago, because my dad recently retired 2 months ago. And so I said, Dad's going to be our test user. If he can figure this out, he's 65 years old, then, we know we have a simple product. And my mom looked at me and goes, your dad's not going to use it. I'm going to create his profile. He's just going to sit next to me while he tells me what he's certified in. And so when I told her that, we kind of laughed. We're like, all right, we're marketing to the wives, So that's absolutely top of mind for us. Have we come up with what that marketing initiative is? Not yet, but that's definitely something that will be on our marketing too.
When you look at the analytics of our Facebook ads, overwhelming majority of folks that click on our ads and actually go through and create a profile are females. And of course, some of them are creating profiles for themselves, but a very large percentage have been for their significant others.
Do we have any other questions?
Hey, Rich. My name is Mark Nichols. So it seems to me that the key to all of this is not the use of the ad, but the veracity of the data itself. And so how do you, it's not just necessarily ease of use, but it's really whether the data is current as opposed to not being stale and comprehensive enough without being overly loaded with search terms that are the downfall of everyone else. So how do you address that, and do you plan on, and I'm not trying to solve this problem here, but could you make it easy for people to start with a template that says, hey, I'm an auto mechanic, and these are the things that I am skilled in, because not all auto mechanics are skilled in absolutely all parts of the car, but here's a template and you're just checking stuff off, and it was a default to begin with, but it helps you maintain the veracity of the data and not fall into the trap that you're trying to solve.
No, absolutely. And the platform right now is established so that it's exactly that. Automotive, okay, within the automotive industry, which one of these fields do you fall into? Let's go with mechanic. Within mechanic, it then sends you to, all right, here are the different certifications, here are different skill sets, and everything is being clicked on. And a really nice thing about that is that we also have a feature that says, what are we missing? And as we see folks, because obviously, I am not a auto mechanic. Matt is not a heavy equipment operator on a construction site. We don't know everything, and we want to hear from our users, and as that we gain more and more data, obviously the website will become better. And kind of first part of that question, Mark, one thing that we decided to do from the very beginning was not create an app. I think apps have far too much friction involved, from the very initially finding the app, downloading the app, going to the app. So this site is completely responsive. So it's a normal website that looks just like an application.
So if it's not an app, how are you sending push notifications and stuff? Or anything like that, or is it all email? It's going to be text and email based. At some point, I believe maybe we will build an app, but to build this database initially, we really want to make it as easy as possible for the job seekers to get on. And we felt that in some of the market research we did, a lot of them just don't go through that entire process of downloading an app. So we wanted to limit that friction. But I think as we see the need in the database grows, it'll be a little bit easier to develop that app. I'm not worried about that.
So I have a question. It's actually funny, so in my last career, part of it was recruiting, and we tried to figure out through software how to hire bus drivers, school bus drivers, mechanics, and all that stuff. So, and to her point, and I think to your point, it's important to flex early on that most mechanics, bus drivers, and blue-collar workers do not even have smartphones. They're still going on flip phones, they're still going on text, the blue phones from Walmart, like those are the primary things. So I was going to ask you basically, like, how long do you want to ride text? Do you want to write email? Because on the other hand, people are saying that email's already on its way out. So it's like you might actually be just skipping email altogether and just going straight from text to the next generation of text. But talking just again more about the kind of that industry, how do you plan to use SEO for a non-smartphone kind of use? Like, is there any kind of like grassroots or more organic kind of kind of approach? I think that's probably part of your concern. It's like when we used to go to bus garages, it would be about I came because he came and he got a signing bonus, and they're a transient workforce that there's no loyalty. It's like, nope, he's got better hours, or I make $1 more per hour here, and I'm off. So is there any kind of goal to, one, marketing to those people kind of off SEO, and then two, how do you pitch to the employers that your candidates are going to be better, not only in terms of qualification, but in terms of retention, in terms of these are good quality candidates that will stick with you?
Yeah, so it's a great thing there on the SEO side. One thing that in a traditional software company like ourselves, that's investors would look at you and be like, you're absolutely insane, there's no way I'm investing in you, is if you told them, hey, I jumped in my truck and I drive to Nashville, and I go around the auto mechanic shops, I go to construction sites, and register candidates that way, and create that viral, exactly as you said, especially with the trucking industry, the transportation. Hey, this company's paying 25 cents more a mile. Why do they have any loyalty to that company whatsoever? And that's exactly the same trend that we see, where yes, we need that initial SEO to get some wives and whatnot to sign their husbands up on Facebook, but really that viral growth is going to come from word of mouth and why. Just like on the flip side, that company needs to have a good initial experience. That candidate also needs to know, yeah, I signed up for BlueRecruit 9 months ago and I haven't received anything. You just lost not just that person, but the 10 friends that they're going to speak to.
Yeah.
You got to create that environment right off the bat. And I'm sorry, Patrick, what was the second part of your question?
Oh, and just, I guess maybe I wanted to ask a new question basically, which is just in terms of services offered, like how do you create a candidate that's gonna stay with that company? It's how do you create a better qualified candidate that's also going to be retained at that company? And I was thinking more along the lines of like your premium services offering verifications, offering you already guys do the background checks, or you have traditional certifications that you got like a BlueRecruit with the check is like.
That's exactly that. It's service is completely free to candidates. However, they can opt into certain verifications and checks that go ahead and ensure an employer. Obviously, they can't see the background check. They can't see that driver record check, but they know it's been accomplished. And in the interview process, they can go ahead and share that. Yeah.
So I know one of you guys' specific ask is about the revenue model, so I haven't heard any questions about that. I'll start that conversation. Have you given any thought to adding something to your revenue model that has to do with advertising either to the blue-collar businesses, maybe employee benefit companies and things like that would like to reach those folks, or people that would like to reach a blue-collar audience to try and sell to?
So one of the things that we've talked about and are heavily thinking is like once we get a decent enough base. So if if I need a certification to potentially get a higher pay for mechanic, and Wake Tech or one of these organizations in the area is going to be offering the certification course in the upcoming, basically allowing them to advertise or basically give them the pool to say, hey, we noticed that you're a level 1, you're trying to get to level 2, we're offering this course for you, allow to do that. So that's one way that we'd be able to partner with organizations and then help not only our candidates grow their skill trade, but then also help local trade schools and get people to fill those roles.
Any other questions?
Is it worth, so just going back to your model, this for the free or the $200 level for a small business, like a lot of times with the SaaS, you see like a sort of freemium model. Like, is it worth $200? Like $200 to you guys to let the auto mechanic that works down the street for me that has 5 employees to give him a free hookup just so that he can. Sorry, so you can build out candidates on the platform.
So that's a great point. Something that we definitely discussed when I was working for a different organization in the HR talent acquisitions. I probably had about 15 different emails with ZipRecruiter because they offer exactly that. I've never paid ZipRecruiter a dime, and really it's a question of at what point are you no longer sustainable when you have that kind of a model, and that's just kind of reality. Matt had been discussing, hey, potentially making that first connection completely free of charge. But our whole goal is you can see everything on a candidate except for that name and contact info. So by going through, conducting your search, it's already showing you the quality and the value that you'll be obtaining. It's just a name at that point. And one really nice thing about that is that with our model, you're not going to see a photo, you're not going to see a name or contact info. EO compliance just shot up through the roof. And that's really going to assist companies in maintaining their HR policies when they say, hey, we had nothing to do with this. These are the applicants that were most qualified, that fit our parameters. They just so happen to be X, Y, and Z. So a nice little value add there.
All right, well, it looks like we're about 5 minutes past 10, so we're going to call it close. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.